So today I want to share with you some of the new features in DaVinci Resolve 15.2. They've actually made 30 new updates to it, and it's a major design upgrade. And I really like DaVinci Resolve. I've been using it for about a year now, and no regrets. I'm happy that I switched over to this program, and continually am amazed about how great this company is in responding to people's feedback onto what you want in an editing program. So the first thing is that they speeded up the timeline. Now draws at a much higher frame rate. So you can move things around much quicker. Editing is just more responsive. You can see the action. You can see things take place, things happening. Really, really a nice feature. The other thing I like too is that your snap now is controlled by the N key. They made snapping so that just a simple flip of the N key and snapping is on and off, which I like. I mean, sometimes, you know, you get a point where you're trying to edit and you just want to move something in a certain position. Snapping sometimes makes it a pain. It's nice to turn it on and off, but most of the time I want it on because I just don't want to override things. But I like that feature first off, although it's not one of the major ones. Keyboard customization has been upgraded, so now it's easy to find. It's right up here underneath DaVinci Resolve, and you click on keyboard customization, and your whole keyboard comes out. You have different layouts, presets that you can keep. You have DaVinci Resolve, Apple Final Cut Pro, Avid Media, so you can basically turn on the shortcuts for all the ones you used to. So if you just came off of Adobe Premiere Pro, you can add all those shortcuts and have them already set up, or you can customize any of them. You can see which ones are in use right away, see what the shortcuts are. You can add shortcuts to things. You can even have them appear up in the top menus here. Like on many of them, they have the shortcut right here. You can change that and see that reflected up there. So that's really a nice feature, and I'm just going to cancel or disregard that here. Discard that. We now have in the edit, we have a history panel which shows what I've done, and I can go back to whatever section I wanted. So if I messed up, I can undo and go back to that particular part. It's nice to be able to see what your history is. It's sort of like, you know, Photoshop started that with history, but it's great to have that so easily accessible instead of having to do undo continuously. But now you can go exactly to where your problem is. Another new feature is the dual window pane. When you click on this right here, the dual window media pool, you click that. That has another window pane here, which you basically can set up for anything that you want. Any of your folders you can pull from this one, and this is nice because I generally pull music, or I'm going to use stills sometimes. Sometimes I'll use still photos, and so I can pull from any of those windows here while I'm still working in this one. So having a dual pane, I'm probably going to be using that one quite a bit for most of my projects, because there's always something in another folder that I want to open up, and rather than having to go back and forth here, I can keep this one open and just work. For example, the power, when I go to the power windows here, I have my masters here, and I can just have all of this stuff for my intro, my outro, my logos, all of that available right away. One of the other features that I really am thinking that I'm going to use quite a bit is dupe detection. Sometimes you get a very large, and of course this is not a large layout, but you get a very large layout, and sometimes you're going to have duplicate frames. And by clicking this on, you can see what frames are duplicated here, and you can see that this one here has a number of duplications because they're pulled from the same original frame here. But these blues show that there is duplicate frames, so if I delete that one, all of my dupes go away, so I know that everything is good to go and I'm not duplicating. This happens a lot with B-roll. When you have B-roll, you're throwing stuff in, and sometimes you throw the same clip in from B-roll. This is going to eliminate that and help refine your edit quite a bit. Another feature is flattening unused clips, and that's kind of nice again when you have a complicated timeline, which this one is not, but if you have one that you have a number of clips above one or the other, and you have clips that just aren't being used. So I'm going to drag this little clip down here, and let's put this one over top of it here, And let's drag another one down right below it, and again, just showing you how this works. So these two clips are not being used. When we play this, we can see that I'm playing through here, and this is the top clip, and the bottom clips are not being used at all. So I can go up to Timeline, click on Timeline, go down to Cleanup Track, and Flatten Unused Clips. So when I click on that, it says Cleanup has been completed successfully, and you see that this flattened down over those clips because they're not being used or shown. And this is going to really clean up your area, clean up your timeline, make it efficient. And it's something that I used to do manually. I would clean up stuff that was underneath just because I felt it was just extra stuff that was there that didn't need to be there. But now this can do it automatically and do your entire timeline. So that's going to be a little bit of a time saver and help make your timeline nice and clean and looking good. And going up to the media pool now, the nice thing about it is it has icon usage indicators, is what they call them. And right here you can see that this particular clip, and let me just make these clips a little bit larger so you can see this stuff. But as I scroll down, you can see that I use this entire part of this clip here. It shows which part of the clips I used. I used this part. I used 3 parts in this clip right here. I used 3 parts on this clip where the red is at, and those are the parts that are in my timeline here. So that's nice to have that feature up here so that you know what part of the clips you've used, what clips you have used, what clips you haven't, like this one I haven't used at all. So when you're going through and you're trying to find more footage, you're not duplicating stuff. And again, if you do duplicate stuff, you just go up to the view and you show duplicated frames, which I have on, and that's going to show whichever frames you duplicated in this whole layout, the whole timeline. So now in Studio, you have a new feature in the color panel here, and let me just show you that. We'll get a picture of my face, a close-up here, maybe. Yeah, there's a good one. And come on over here to DaVinci Resolve, color panel, and let me find the beauty right here that I can put on here. And this allows me to smooth my face. You can see that I can make adjustments here. And of course I would make sure that it only affected my face. I can also diffuse the lighting on my face, so I can soften up my face quite a bit here. I can also add texture to my face if I want a more of a gritty look to my face. That's a little too gritty, but we can play around with that. So a lot of cool things that this particular one can do. You see that it's overdone. It's affecting everything. So we really should have. Let's just put a mask around me here real quick, just so you can see that it only affects this area of my face right there. So now as we're adjusting this, we only make the adjustments to my face. But as you can see here, this is kind of a cool thing. You can soften up the face. You won't want to get too carried away with that, because obviously I should have some wrinkles there. And but there's going to be many cases where you can use this a little bit just to get rid of, smooth the face a tiny bit and make that person look a little younger, which I never mind that, at least for my face. So that's a cool new feature here in the Studio version. And there have also been a number of improvements to the Fairlight page here. And I'll just come on over here. Now, I don't use the Fairlight page as much as an audio technician would, but they do have some features that I do like here that I will be using. Now, this particular clip doesn't have a lot of different audio clips in it, but if it did, you can add effects now to a number of audio clips. So you can highlight all the audio clips you want to add the same effect to, instead of having to add effect to each clip each time. And that's going to make it easy to round out the sound on different clips. One problem I do have sometimes is just channel mapping. And the new stereo fixer it has certain presets for fixing certain issues that you may have. And like this one, reverse stereo, is probably one I use quite a bit, because I always seem to have the wrong mic to the wrong side of the frame. But just gives presets that are real quick to select and fix a lot of common problems. Now another one, let me just close this out. Another feature is the multi-band compressor. This one has areas that you can adjust the gain in the certain frequencies. You can change the threshold, you know, to adjust the transition a little better. So that's going to be nice for removing sometimes background noise, also just popping up somebody's conversation, working with all of that. So although I'm not an expert at sound, I think that once I start playing with this is going to help me out quite a bit, because generally the other one I would make marks and try to adjust as best I can, but now I have specific band ranges that I can make these adjustments to. Now, of course, this is just a small bit of the changes that they made. If you want to see all the changes, go to DaVinci Resolve or Blackmagic Design's website, and they have a complete video on that. But these are some of the things, I should say, that I'm going to enjoy using and work with quite a bit. So hopefully, if you don't already have DaVinci Resolve, please download a free copy of it. Try it out. You're really going to enjoy this program. I know I do. And eventually you probably want the studio version, which has more features and more of what you want to use in your production and movie making. So enjoy, and we will talk soon.
Wait, don't forget to subscribe and hit that little bell so you get notifications of all the new videos that I put out each week.